Okay, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be taking everyone through my leg day at the moment and my current leg day split. So we're going to start off with some calf raises, we're going to head into some leg curls, and we got pendulum squats today. So it's a very big leg workout. A little bit of background knowledge on my leg day at the moment. So I'm only really doing 1.5 leg days. Like I do an RDL day and then I go into like a posterior session. So my legs naturally kind of grow quite easily. I think that's just because I enjoy training legs. Now that's not me sitting here saying I have the best legs in the world, but comparative to the rest of my body, they grow quite easily. So they don't need as much volume in order to catch up with the rest of the body. They're kind of ahead in regards to proportion wise. So I just do one big full leg day. It's hard, it's fast, it's big, and it fucking hurts, and I'm sore usually for like 3 days after.
What do you mean by that?
I don't need to do like this multiple leg days per week. I've done it, it hurt, it was a lot, but my legs definitely grew. If you're someone like me who has like a more of a weaker upper body, then you might look at structuring your split in a way where doing 1.5 leg days where you have a posterior day and then one full heavy leg day, that could work for you. So I'm going to run through my warm-up now. My body's feeling a little bit stiff at the moment just because I've been doing a few extracurricular activities to switch up cardio and stuff like that. So I've been throwing in some started doing the jiu-jitsu class, so you'll notice that my neck's a little bit fucked up from that. And that's been like my cardio at the moment. It's not anything I'm taking seriously, it's just to fuck around, but my hips and my glutes are pretty fucked up. So I'm going to roll out, take my time warming up, and then we'll get straight into the session. So a little bit of an update as well, just like on the growth phase. My calories have gone up again this week. Again, you don't need like a fuck ton of a surplus to be growing. What the approach we're taking is a very conservative surplus. Again, you don't need a lot of calories to be growing. You just need to be training hard. You need to make sure your intensity is where it needs to be in order for your muscles to actually adapt and grow. A little bit of a bump up in calories because as the body weight goes up, your maintenance calories are going to change based on your new body weight. So we have had an increase of calories. So now I'm sitting at like 3,400 calories, got a good 400 grams of carbs, a little bit more fats for the food variety. Strength should be going up as well, but strength is only going to go up as a byproduct of my training intensity of where it needs to be. As I mentioned, if you go and watch my previous videos and around progressive overload, it should be progressive stimulus, and your strength should be going up as a byproduct of your training intensity. So that's a little bit of an update of the growth phase. We're sitting around like 78 this morning, so a little bit of a bump already in body weight. My body just likes to sort of hold on to food, especially once I get a little bit more food, it just seems to like bump up straight away. Then it kind of balances out over across the weeks. So we'll kind of see what happens, and I'll keep you guys updated with what happens there. So the reason we're starting off with standing calf raises is because firstly, it will just mobilize that ankle joint a little bit, get a little bit of blood around that ankle area, which is going to be really beneficial for your squat pattern. Just having a little bit of blood around that ankle, getting those joints nice and mobile, ready to move around there. Not to mention, you always want to put sort of like things of highest importance first. So my goal is not to just grow big calves, but most people will put calves at the end of the session and then they'll wonder why their calves will never grow. So we're putting it at the start of the session because that's going to be the most stimulating, but it's not going to be so fatiguing that's going to affect my squats either. So it's really worth putting at the start of your sessions. So that's why we're starting with calves. I'm doing my standing calf raises. I'm really trying to think about getting as much of a stretch in that bottom position as possible. And I almost like to think about I'm squeezing my quads on the way up. That allows me to get this really peak, that top of the range of motion, and get a big contraction at the top. So where most people will go wrong when they do their standing calf raises is they will try and cut the reps short, both top and bottom. We really want to make sure we're getting a nice big stretch in that bottom position and then coming up and really fully contracting at that top. And again, that cue I like to think about is almost like locking your knees out, squeezing your quads, almost like you're at the top of a leg extension. Like that, you're going to get a way better traction in your calves, as well as you'll probably find that they'll be even more sore, especially if you're concentrating on that full range of motion. Now, when I'm doing my lying leg curl, the things that I'm focusing on, really trying to drive those hips into the pad, really trying to keep as much tension on those hamstrings as possible. And I actually don't fully lock all the way out. There's like active and passive range, right? So I kind of want to keep my hamstring tension on them the whole time. Notice I stop just shy of lockout. I drive my hips into the pad, and I'm almost like trying to think about doing a bicep curl with my hamstring. If you think about doing a bicep curl with your hamstrings for your hamstring curl, you will find that it will instantly improve. You'll get a much better pump. You'll get much better feedback on your hamstrings, and they'll probably grow a lot better too. There is a very important reason as to why we do the lying leg curl before the squats. So your hamstrings don't really work in a squat whatsoever. They're not working at all. So doing hamstring curls before your squats are going to get a bit of blood into that knee joint, going to lubricate those joints a little bit more, make your squats feel a little bit better. So if you are someone who suffers from like a little bit of knee pain when they're squatting, I'd highly recommend getting on a leg curl, seated or lying, doesn't really matter, and doing those before any sort of your squat patterns. They really help and make you feel a little bit more warmer going into that. Again, fatigue aspect is not really going to carry over to your squatting pattern, so it's really worthwhile doing. So I'd highly recommend that if you want to get the most out of your squats and feel better with your knees, really try and get on a lying leg curl before. Moving on to our pendulum squats. So I did this last week and I attempted 150 on the pendulum squat, which was the weight I did the week before, and it just didn't fucking move. I got like 3 reps, I think, I'm pretty sure. If I have the video, I'll put it up. But it just wasn't moving the way I wanted it to. Now, I'm not too sure why that was the case. Sometimes it's just not there. Sometimes it's just the strength isn't there on the day. It could be water, sleep, stress. I didn't have my knee sleeves, but I don't want to blame knee sleeves to be the reason as to why I couldn't squat the way that I was supposed to. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. I'm honestly just going to go by how it feels. Sometimes isn't the worst thing to do. Like, we want to follow logbook numbers and we want to follow a program to maximize results and obviously progressive overload. But if the load is outweighing the ability to actually do the movements with quality, then it's not really worth doing, because you're not going to get that good of a stimulus out of it. I'm going to go with what I think I can achieve for 6 to 8 reps, which is the prescribed rep range, and we'll just go from there. The other thing I'm going to really try and do, I just really respond well from doing a lot of warm-up sets. Like, I don't necessarily do like 10, 12 warm-up sets, but I do take my time, and I find that when I tend to feel better during my top sets. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because not everyone's the same. Some people just need to do 3 warm-up sets or 2 warm-up sets and they can get into it straight away. For me, I come from a powerlifting background. Doing those multiple warm-up sets to get to that top set feels a little bit more comfortable to me, both mentally and physically. So we'll see how it goes and see what happens.
Yep, go ahead. Come on. Again. Up. Yep.
I'll take that. That was good.
That was 7?
7.
You could have done more.
I could have, but I don't want to bury myself. And this has been struggling to progress, so I don't want to bury myself. But that was a very good set. 140 for 7 reps. I went based on how I feel. I wasn't trying to be too by the book, because at the end of the day, the goal is to stimulate the muscles, not just try and get more weight than last week. All right, 2 sets of pendulum squat down, 140, 7 reps on both sets. So that's a really big success, really happy with that. When I'm doing my pendulum squats, the biggest thing that I'm trying to focus on, driving as much of that tension onto the quads as possible. So you'll notice that I really try to slow down that eccentric, mainly just to maintain as much control and not bounce off the quads. Like, at the bottom of your squat, you have this stretch reflex in your hips. So naturally, you're gonna try and bounce out of that bottom. You might do towards the end, but you wanna try and mitigate that as much as possible. You're really just getting hamstring to calf and really pushing with your quads off your calves. That way you're going to get most of that tension on your quads and get the most out of your pendulum squat. But the other things is just making sure I'm bracing properly, not taking too long at the top either. I feel like, you're prolonging a set for no reason. It's like, if you're fatiguing, that's good. People naturally want to try and steer away from the hard stuff. Don't take too long at the top of those reps, otherwise you're just prolonging the set for no reason. So what, you might get an extra rep, the muscles are supposed to fatigue at some point. That's literally what we're trying to do. With my leg extension, I'm always trying to keep the pad as far back as I can. I'm getting a nice big stretch in that quad. The stretch position is just always going to be that little bit better. So if we can get a little bit more stretch in the leg extension, why not make that happen? Those small 1%ers will slowly start to add up.
Gente do Chu, você é louco. Meu Deus.
Finish it.
Moving. He was moving. That's what I'm saying. As long as it's moving, it's not slow.
All the high threshold motor units. So moving on to seated leg curl, a little bit of hamstrings to going. Again, we've just got a little bit of hamstrings on this day because we do our RDLs on the other day. So spreading it out across the week to get that training volume in. Now, when I'm doing my seated leg curl, I really want to try and think about, I like to have my hips flexed. I'm actually keeping a bit more of an upright torso, getting a little bit more of a stretch in that hamstring. As we know, a lot of the research suggests that stretch mediated hypertrophy, which is a fancy way of saying putting our muscles in more stretch positions and loading them, actually creates more of a hypertrophy effect or a muscle building effect. If we have the opportunity to put ourselves in instances where we can get a bit more stretch in the muscle, it's a really good idea to do so. But the caveat and the trade-off to that is that there is a lot more fatigue that comes with it as well. So choose wisely as to when and how you're using these techniques, because they will come with a trade-off of more fatigue. But this exercise is a very stable exercise. It's a very fixed machine, so you should be okay. I had Liam there to spot me, my mate, which you would have seen in previous videos. So I don't always get the luxury to train with someone, but if you have the ability to, it's a really good idea to do so, because training with someone is going to allow you to get those extra few reps, and those extra few reps are what are going to create the most amount of, muscle building effects. Again, you are, yes, creating a little bit more of fatigue, digging yourself a bigger hole, but I don't know. I just come from the mindset where if there's more, just take it. Like, I know they say, you can cut your reps shy of failure by two reps in reserve, but I don't know, just for me, it just doesn't feel like something I always want to do. I don't feel like I'm leaving the gym fully, like I'm getting a good workout in, like I'm giving it everything I got, which is how I like to approach my training. So am I missing out, or am I creating too much fatigue while I'm doing that, and possibly even limiting my progress? Maybe, but I don't think so, because it's what I enjoy, and what you enjoy is going to allow you to keep showing up. Consistency is really what is the most important. If you're consistent, you're going to get the best results. So that's my mindset around that, at least, but that's just my food for thought. Successful leg day wrapped up. Bit of a physique update there as well. Pretty happy with this current condition at the moment. We're sitting at 77 kilos, 78 kilos. Abs are still pretty tight. There's still a good level of leanness there. I was saying this to someone before. I really think there's something to that post-comp sort of rebound, and it's just for some reason your body just sort of adapts really well to it and suddenly looks so much fuller. All the glycogen back in the muscle, the muscles are pushing against the skin, and you just set yourself up for a really good growth phase. So we're about 8 or 9 weeks post-show now, and I'm really happy with the way this physique is. Really happy with how I've bounced out of this prep, and it's just really setting us up and laying the foundation for us to really push forward and spend a good 1.5 years growing, so we can have a better package the next time we return to stage. Anyway guys, that is done for today's monstrosity of a leg day. Thank you for watching. If you do enjoy the content, please do like, share, subscribe, follow the journey, and I'll see you guys in the next video.